Just a little FYI, college has actually gotten easier and harder compared to the 1900s and before that, because now college, like bachelor's amount of credit hours, actually has increased from before the 1900s and forward the 1900s. For the 1900s, most bachelors consider 120 credit hours needed, but back then the credit hours were actually smaller. One of them is probably the reasoning because of the information explosion. There's a lot of information out there, so many things that you have to know and specialize in, and when you're specializing, you kind of have to know specialized things, which brings quite a bit of uncertainty in direction sometimes, depending on the person, on their goals and aspirations, and what they decide on pursuing. As someone in the healthcare field, there are so many different kinds of specialties and healthcare field opportunities. And a lot of those things have gotten quite crazy for me because I'm finding out all the different pathways, all the different things I want to learn, and trying to navigate your college life from undergraduate, associates, undergraduate, graduate, and PhD and above. They are very interesting to note that it can become very broad in spectrum of what you're learning or very specialized in what you're learning. Something I just posted a little bit earlier is that the PhD during the 1900s only took 3 to 5 years to complete. A lot of PhDs now take about 5 to 7 years to complete, which is crazy. That's because there's a lot of information. So how do you think, I've heard some people say, how come back then you had more time? I gotta be honest with you, we have lots of information now, lots of things to figure out, lots of things to think about, lots of things to juggle, and a lot of things to look after. And it's very interesting because as a person that feels a little bit late and behind, I am actually not late and behind. For all of those of you who are pursuing college degrees, do not feel late and behind. I felt this way for the longest time, and I've started to begin my research, and I realized I am not late and behind. Now, I might be late in a couple of reasons, but it's not really just unique to me, kind of. But my story is a little bit unique in difference as to why I'm late, but I am not actually late. This has to do with a crisis. And one of those crises that did happen to me is I ended up in the hospital. So I've never really told you guys my story, but while I was in college, I ended up going to the hospital. And honestly, I've been waiting for a really long time to even talk about what I went through. But just a little thing to note, I am late due to the fact that I had a crisis, and a lot of other people out there has gone through crises just like me. So some different kinds of crisis that could happen for a person is they lost a loved one, they become extremely sick and ill, kind of just like how I did, and they either have gone through other means of crisis like bankruptcy, financial issues, just things in life that just comes in your way, maybe a car crash, maybe you just could not, like maybe depression, maybe you just had a lot of issues trying to pursue your college degree. Maybe it is your first generation, maybe you have other difficulties, like different health issues I had like mentioned before, maybe even health issues you started at birth, even in the later processes of life. There are lots of disadvantages and advantages, but I do want to assure you, do not use your disadvantage as a disadvantage. Use your disadvantage as an advantage. It is very, very helpful to look at your life this way. Now, I have been through so much, and I have realized that as the world progresses, the world is changing. So I know this is hard to like look at, but I've seen, I think I've seen adults sometimes look at the younger generation and wonder, like, why are they not progressing as fast as I progressed? But I would like for you to look at some of the research. A lot of the college courses have gotten more information heavy than previous years, just because of new information, new technology. Like when I was alive, when I was younger, I remember those computers that were really like a huge cube. It was literally a huge cube. And I've heard stories of back then where the computers only did simple things like probably Tetris or something like that. But now we have AI, we have robots, we have computers, we have internet, we can search whatever we want. There's a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of advantages, there's a lot of distractions, there's a lot of disadvantages, there's a lot of scare, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of good things and bad things. And honestly, I want you to look at it this way. Do not look at a person and say, wow, like they don't have it together, because sometimes things happen and every single person has their own story. And as a person myself that has gone through something really, really rough, I have found out that things can get tough. You never know. Someone might have lost their wallet. Someone might have been scammed. Someone might have been, like, their identity has been stolen. That's pretty crazy right there. Like, in a time and age like this, stuff happen. And, I mean, health issues have always been there. But I don't want to, like, compare it. But I'm pretty sure a lot back then has been more simpler than it is now. Now we have to think about like everything that's affecting us, that's outside of us, and not just in our own little neighborhood.